7 p.m. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In accordance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, notice of this meeting is given by way of notice filed with the Star Gazette and in the Express Times, filed in the Municipal Clerk's Office, and posted in Belvedere Town Hall, 691 Wall Street, Belvedere, New Jersey.
This agenda is subject to last-minute additions and/or deletions by the Belvedere Town Council. Do I have any additions or deletions at this time? Roll call, please.
Mayor Kennedy.
Here.
Councilman McIntyre.
Here.
Councilwoman Myers.
Here.
Councilwoman Palatano.
Here.
Councilman Roth.
Here.
Councilman Tucker.
Here.
Councilman Zmigrodzki.
Here. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the minutes of May 28, 2019, regular meeting.
Motion.
Second.
Questions, comments, or corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Good evening, Mr. Prater, and welcome, and thank you for coming.
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Stan Prater. I'm the External Affairs Manager for Jersey Central Power Line. I actually represent the town of Belvedere. And the mayor and Committeeman Roth and I have been discussing LED light offering for some time now.
Carrie.
And he had asked me to come and give a presentation. So they have a lot of this information, but this information I wanted to share with you because I told them this is a new offering for us. We've probably been offering this for about 2 years. And this is just a little LED light 101. I'm not an engineer. I'm an external affairs manager. So it's kind of basic stuff, and so I don't want to insult anybody's intelligence. But if you're not familiar with LED lighting, which has been around for a while now, not totally new, but in terms of streetlight offerings, it's new for us. We had to go to the Board of Public Utilities to get a rate approved, and I've discussed the rate with the Committeeman Roth and Mayor Kennedy. We've actually looked at an area in town that the committee is considering. So, if you have a question, raise your hand. I'll be glad to answer. If I don't know it, I'll let you know, and I'll document it and get back to you on that. I'll funnel all the questions back to the mayor and the committee with Roth. Okay? All right. So, what are LEDs? LEDs are a light-emitting diode. It's a type of solid-state lighting that uses semiconductors to convert electricity into light and offers the following benefits. One, it's a product that's made in America. Voltage available is 120/277 in all lights. It's a common voltage we use in our system. Voltage is available for Cobra head lights. That's your typical street light that you see. It's the Cobra head, similar to a Cobra, 120/277 and 480, some of the higher voltages. LEDs are a directional light source. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. It improves visual acuity, and all that means it makes the objects a little bit more keener. Longer life, reduced maintenance. So we don't have to go out there and change the bulb as much. You're going to get more usage out of it. Greater energy efficiency, uses half the wattages of a SLV, which is a sodium vapor light, and that's most of the lights that you have here in town in Belvedere. Also, you can look at the heads over here. This is your typical light, and we're going to talk about a little bit more how this light is a little bit different than a high-pressure sodium light. So light distribution patterns. So they have something called a Kelvin rating, which talks about temperature and color in an LED light. And our LED lights are mostly at the 5,000 Kelvin.
Can I ask you a question there?
Yes.
I'm just curious about it. I just had my electrician at my own house put LEDs in for my floods.
Mhm.
And actually I was a bit disappointed at first because I know that Kelvin range is, it might be like too white. I know the Kelvin's has it, whether you get more yellowish or more white.
Mhm.
Where would these be on?
I'm going to show you.
Oh,
I got a slide just for that question.
Yeah, because it makes a huge difference.
It does, and this is where general knowledge comes in, right? Because there's a lot of different LED products out there,
Right.
but when you get behind this Kelvin rating, it talks about light, color, and brightness, okay? So LEDs are between 3,000 and 5,000. We're closer to 45 to 5,000 on the street lights that we're offering. High pressure sodium Kelvin is around 2,200. So you look at this diagram up here, LED lamps distribute light at a sharp, defined rate. So you can see how the arrows are going down. It's a more directional, straight path. Where high pressure sodium lamps are non-directional. You can see how it's like a shotgun almost. The light's going kind of all different directions here. So it's a little bit more spread out. Also, LED lights offer improved visibility through better color rendition. Also, again, better light distribution. It eliminates dark areas. You can see this is an LED example of a light, and you can see how the foot candle, this is the foot candle, pretty much covers in between these poles. It improves contrast and visibility for drivers. So those are some of the benefits. So what does Kelvin mean? Kelvin is used in the lighting to measure the color and temperature of a particular light bulb. And in short, the higher the Kelvin rating expressed in K, the whiter the light will be. Okay. So here's the diagram for you. It talks about the right color temperature begins with the bulb. Use the Kelvin temperature color scale below to help identify the approximate hue certain bulbs will provide. So if we're at around the 5,000 Kelvin, between 45 and 5, so here's between 4,000 K and 45 K, and this is the color here. So the higher the Kelvin, it's going to be a little bit more bluish, what we call a bluish white light. The lower the Kelvin, it's going to be a little bit more of this golden yellowish light. So you can see by, again, this is 4,000 K to 45 K. This is around the light pattern or color that our lights will be. Did that help you out?
Yeah.
Okay. So color temperatures of light bulbs. It kind of gives you a little bit in terms of the range of the definition. Less than 2,000 K gives off a dim glow of light, similar to what you might find on a candle light. Best for low area, light areas with ambient illumination as well. 2,000 to 3,000 gives off a soft white glow, often yellow in appearance. Best for living rooms, dining rooms, bedrooms, and outdoor spaces. 31 to 45 gives off a bright amount of white light. Best for kitchens, offices, workspaces, and vanities where task lighting is needed. 46 to 65 gives off a bright amount of blue light. And this is your high Kelvin rating, similar to the daylight, best for displays and work environments where very bright illumination is needed. 65 and up, that's your malls and your industrial areas. Those areas where it need to be highly lit. So this is an idea of what the light looks like. Currently, this is what the light you have out here in Belvedere on Water Street throughout the town. This is 43 WLED, but we serve as a 50. But that's the head. It's similar. It's similar in style, but you can see it's flatter because you don't have the bulb, the incandescent bulb or the sodium vapor bulb. So the bulb is a lot flatter and it's enclosed. The shape is similar, but not exactly the same. These are the lights that we identified with Committeeman Roth and the mayor. You can see here we've got Water, Market, Mansfield Street, Paul Street, Water Street, Prospect, Greenwood Street. And this is your business district, mostly in and around your business district. These are the lights the wattages that were selected. And these were the brackets sizes, and we'll talk about that in a minute, based on the plan that we're offering for Jersey Central. So these are the lights that we identified in the field here in town, in the areas, I should say, the poles. So the way this offering works is that we offer to change out an existing sodium vapor light with an LED light at no charge, no installation charge for a Cobra head on a fixture pole using a standard 8-foot bracket. So if you wanted to use a different bracket, which you have here, 6, 6, 16, 4, and 6, there would be a $100 charge for an additional change out. What we're offering is we'll change out a standard 8-foot bracket for free. And then you can kind of see that it has to be on an existing wood pole. There's no contribution rate. What that means is when we first started street lights years ago, we would offer a company rate, which is a standard rate, let's say maybe $10 a month, and then there was a contribution rate. Where you could pay money up front. You could pay $5 extra up front initially when the light was installed, and then your light bill would be half the rate. It would be $5 a month instead of $10. But we don't offer a contribution rate for LED lights, just the company rate. And here's an idea of what some of the rates are based on the lumens. 50-watt light, 6,000 lumens goes for roughly, and this is from June to September, $9.25. October to May, $9.27. Now, this is really, if you change out a 50-450, 50-watt LED for a sodium vapor, it's really no cost savings, only energy savings. But when you get into these higher wattages, you'll start to see dollar savings, and I've given Committeeman Rolfe and the mayor that chart that kind of shows those differences. So, determine the contract is 10 years for each company fixture installation, and thereafter on a monthly basis, whereas special circumstances apply or special or unusual facilities are supplied. Contracts of more than 10 years may be required. Service which is terminated before the end of the contract shall be billed at the total of each light's monthly fixture charge plus the kilowatt-hour distribution charge applicable to each light's billing month, KW, times the remaining months of the contract. So what that means is we put these lights up, you get complaints, the mayor says, I got too many complaints, I got to take down several lights, we switch it back with a sodium vapor, you're still bound to that 10-year contract. So what you'd be doing is paying for the LED light we installed and the sodium vapor for up to 10 years. Or you can pay that on a monthly basis, or you can pay off the LED in a lump sum. So you are bound, once we install these and you get complaints and you want to switch it back, there is a 10-year agreement. Because we don't charge you for that, it's kind of depreciated through the 10-year process. Okay?
What's the lump sum
Question.
pay back on the LEDs?
The lump sum on the, you'd have to go times, we'd have to calculate what the rate is. I don't have the rate in time. Yeah.
Question.
Yes.
What's your success rate then with other municipalities? If you're telling me you're unlocked in for 10 years, that's pretty significant.
Yeah, it is. And so when we started this
So what are the other
program,
municipalities saying?
well, the success rate has been good. I've had one major complaint, and we've probably been in about 12 municipalities.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is what I tell everybody, and I told the mayor this when I first started this conversation, is we are asking, or we recommend, because we can't make any recommendations as a company. We can't recommend. We're not, recommending that you install these lights, but we're recommending that you use a lighting expert or an engineer that's more familiar with this type of product to come up with a recommendation. And so the other thing is to have this public meeting so we can educate the public on it, because it is a difference that you're going to see in lighting.
Our understanding was you were coming in here as a pilot program.
No,
Okay.
it's not a pilot.
Okay.
The piece that was confusing is that, let me back up because I didn't mention this, it's in this part here, is that we'll do this for free, but it has to be in lights of 12 or more. So we wouldn't just put up one light here, one light there, one light there. And I think maybe that was the part that was confusing. So we have to put up 12 lights at a time in one section, And if you want more lights, we'll do another 12 and another 12. Or you can do more than 12, but we won't do less than that, less than 12
But
lights.
as soon as you put up those 12 lights, we're paying for 10 years.
Yes,
Okay.
you have to sign, and we'll give you a contract, to sign off on the contract, on the agreement. And yes, you'll be bound to, unless you know, if you get complaints, you need to change them out, yes.
So Stan, can we can like designate within the town, okay, we're gonna group of 12. So, okay, let's just hypothetically, and this is just throwing it out, okay, Mansfield Street, here's 12, or this one street, or Water Street. As long as there's 12
Together,
together.
because I don't, you don't want to
Like
spread them out.
down the line.
Yes, yes,
Like if you wanna go around the park or something to that effect.
yes, yeah. You don't want to shotgun these lights because you're going to definitely get complaints because of the light pattern will be totally different.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
And these lights, Joe, they're grouped together, when we, yeah.
Now, is this the next step after the 2 free lights that we get to decide on? Or is this the package?
Free lights,
Yeah, I was under the impression that we were gonna be able to put 1 or 2 lights up for the residents actually to see
Let's see if we.
prior.
Okay, so we hadn't talked about that since then. What we've done is we've put up some lights where you can go look at them. But
Okay, so
Yeah.
we put the 2.
yeah, we won't put the 2 up. Yeah.
So there's nothing in our town? You won't put anything up in our town?
There's nothing in your town, but there's, I can go back and have a conversation because Joe,
Just 10 years
we had
is a long
talked
time.
about the park, right?
We talked about putting up 2 lights in the center of the park.
And the park,
To
right?
use as an example.
Yeah.
Prior to any commitment.
I'll go back and revisit that because we hadn't talked about it since then, but we have put up some lights where you can visit, but we did talk about it, we didn't really confirm it.
The other question I had, Stan, you said out of your 7 or 8 other municipalities, you only had 1 big problem.
Only had one light that
Was it, I was
was,
gonna ask, is it 1 light or was it the entire?
one light, one light.
1 light?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
What are some of the close towns that, like,
Well, there's none that's really close. We had,
sorry,
Morris Township, New Providence, Lambertville, and then we have some in our central region, which you don't want to go down that far.
Morristown?
Morristown and Morris Township, yes.
all right.
I can give you names of streets you can look at.
Well,
Yeah, I'm glad to do that. But I'll revisit those lights in the park, Joe. I'm not sure that we will do it because we did put up some lights where we can see and look at, but that might be, something that I can revisit with you.
Yeah, you'd have to, go everything has been going through Joe.
Yeah, sure. So, again, so we do lights at 12, and we don't, again, we are not, the company doesn't, approve any designs or services, that's up to the municipality, and again, we ask you to bring in a lighting expert or some type of engineer, somebody that's familiar with LED lighting to help you make a decision.
Stan, can I ask you a question, and go back to my
Yes?
session with the Calvins and stuff, like, we did get a little light expert, uses the land use, clients of land use applications, stuff, the land. If he or she recommended, slightly yellow or like a little bit lower or something, is that something you guys can take into account, or you're definitely just going with the one by one?
We right now, because it's such a new product for us, and GE, Joe, you have the streetlight manual that I sent you online. So we use, GE's our manufacturer right now, since we just started with them. The Kelvin right now is 5,000. So if you wanted a 3,000 Kelvin light, we don't have it in our stock right now, not to say we won't have it eventually, but right now it's just, that's what it is.
Stan, just let me answer 2 questions. Adam, you brought something up real quick, and Kevin. Before we look at any talking to engineers and speaking about spending money with engineers, the thought was we have to physically send a representative to look at it. I'm not going to spend money speaking to engineers, going through all this. If our liaison, Joe, or somebody comes back, or he can take a citizen with him, let them come back and report to us if it's feasible, then it makes sense. But I'm not going to go through the expense of engineers.
I think New Jersey even has like free help on this for municipalities. So if they stand, they'll help you.
You can go to the DPU website
DP website.
and click on clean energy.
Right.
I'm gonna revisit that. I'm gonna revisit that. I can't make any guarantees, but I will.
See if it's not bothering.
Because that won't bother me.
Because that area is so wide open.
Exactly.
I don't think that you'll,
Great place.
Yeah.
It won't bother.
yeah. Yes,
They're still connected to a photo cell, right?
no,
They're not?
no, there's no photo
So
cell.
what is it, timers?
No, it's, if you go back to that first slide, well,
'Cause
and
that used to be-
I'm not an engineer, but
Right,
when
right.
this light emitting diode is no photo cell.
Because that used to be a Mac light across the street from where we live. Wasn't so much the bulb went out as problems with the.
Yeah, semiconductors convert electricity light, so it's a solid state lighting that uses semiconductors to convert electricity into light.
Stan, let me shout out one more thing. Joe, just a recommendation, and Teresa, you can give Joe the phone number. Give him the phone numbers for Wires Electric, okay? We put 11 new LED poles at the pool, and for security reasons, they're on timers at night. So anybody can go by the Belvedere Pool and take a look at the LED light systems there. But get a hold of Wires and find out what the kettles are there versus what we're talking about here,
Yeah.
to get a rough idea.
Yeah, you want to make sure it's
That may save a lot of,
That's right.
Yeah, any example that you can send the residents to the committee would be good.
so I would say,
It was right at the pool.
Yeah.
Right.
get a hold of Wires, find out the similarities of these two, get back to Stan right away. Don't proceed going to the center of the park if we find out we've already got it
Yeah,
right here.
yeah, if they're similar.
Right.
If they're similar, the Kelvin ratings. And find out, Joe, the manufacturer as well.
Yeah, Stan, I'll be honest with you, come in here and say, listen, we want a 10-year commitment, 12 lights. There's no way. It's not without us at least testing it or saying it, and know how it affects our community. That's a really big pill to swallow.
Well, and the way we're offering it because we're using our labor and our trucks to put it up for nothing. So that's the way we get our money back.
Even if we thought we would save money, we'd be more willing to pay for your labor, your trucks to come and install 1 or 2 lights, if that's the way we wanted to go. It makes more sense for us to pay for that and say, okay, do we like this? Yes or no. But to come in and say, listen, we're going to come in and do 12 lights, you've got to be locked in for 10 years, it's just ludicrous. Because if we don't like it, we're stuck with a huge bill. We'd much rather pay for, come in, we'll do 1 or 2 lights, we'll do it in a different area, and see if the community likes it. So I think you really need to go and think your business model.
Quick math based on the cost code that you gave us, at each light, I estimated it up from $9.25 to $9 in the full time. I brought it up to $10 a month. That's $120 a light. So if you go over a cost of 10 years for 12 lights, the cost of that is $14,400. Just for those 12 lights, if you calculated it, just to give you an idea on what the cost is.
Yeah.
To Stan's point, if there was a single light issue after 2 or 3 months, then you're eating the cost of $800 for the 10 years. But anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, I hear what you're saying, but that's the model, that's the plan, that's what was approved. I can't
Sure,
change it.
understood.
Yeah.
Understood.
But if we did reverse with just 1 or 2 lights, we're not stuck with.
No, if I come back with that agreement, it'll be basically to say, we want to put these 2 lights up here to, similar to a pilot, so that the residents can see what the light looks like.
I don't think we're.
But I don't know if that's going to be
But
approved.
to Charlie's point, we could actually pick a couple specific poles and actually pay you guys just to put up a couple cents.
Yeah, I don't think we're adverse to pay.
We don't know, right? We do that, Stan?
No, we can't, because it's a 12-light pilot. So when I had the conversation with Committeeman Roth and Mayor, we were talking about places in town, initially this word pilot came up. And he says, well, we'll be the pilot town, and we've got some spots, and we're talking about the park. We have since kind of moved away from that, but what I'm going to do is revisit that, and so that you won't be the 10-year agreement will not apply if it's approved, and I can't tell you if it's going to be approved or not. I'm going to go back and say, hey, I got Belvedere wants to put 2 lights in the park just to kind of use it as a place where people can see the lights. We can send other customers there, bring some business to the town, but so I'm not holding you to that, but I'm not going to say that's going to happen. But I will bring that up with management.
We're a small town, man. When you say 12 lights, it doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're like,
It
what,
is, it's
1.3
small.
square miles, that's a lot of lights in our town. And to think that, I guarantee, if you put 12 lights up, I don't care where you put them in this town, someone's gonna say, shut it off. I guarantee it. And we're gonna end up paying for 3 or 4 lights that we can't use.
I understand.
So,
I understand your point, and all I'm telling you
we're
is,
small.
Yeah.
We're a small town.
and most of the towns are small around here in Warren County. You're not by yourself. And so, we've been talking about this, how long have we been talking about this, Mayor? This has been going, so, I'm not trying to force LED down your throat.
No,
I'm
but
trying to educate.
I gotta be dead honest with you, I thought the 2 lights would have been up by now. And I know that's not,
Yeah.
I know that's not all on you, but we actually had people come tonight and advertise it, because we were hoping they would have had a light to take a look at. But in hindsight, we need to move forward and we need to check out, from the positive side, look at the pool and see if we have a similarity there.
Yeah, that's a good approach. And then I'll go back and see if there's something we can do.
Yeah, see what you can
But, we'll work in parallel and see what we can do. But, again, this is a decision, this is not, something that we're pushing. We want to make sure that because it's so new, I told the mayor, I said, I will not encourage you to put up any lights until we come out and we meet with the public and get all the questions answered. And, I know this is new and, like you said, Committeeman, if you put up a light, there's going to be somebody that's going to say, take it down. But
But that being said, does the public have any quick questions here? Because I know originally, go ahead, Mrs. Rahab.
I'm not really a fan of the bright white. I don't know if you're over 60 and you drive a car and you see those LEDs coming at you, that'll give you an idea. And I know what you're saying about the blue going into the gold, but I've also experienced what you're saying. And I come from the city, and the whole reason you want to be out here is you don't feel like somebody's playing, going to scream play ball in front of your house. So it would have to me to be happy with it, I would want like a golden glow, not a blue golden, a golden glow. If it's not saving us money, and the other thing is, I plug regular LEDs into my regular lamps at home when I have them. Is there any way that we can buy an LED light and just plug it into the fixture that's there?
Not from us. This is where we're trying to get a sample.
No, I mean, just since you're trying to find an option to see what it would look like, because by the pool is not by somebody's house. First of all, you've got concrete, you've got an expansive area, and you've got lights that are going to do this together. So they're going to make like a solid path of light. I'm sure that's how you must lay them out, because in any kind of industrial use, they usually cross the V's.
There is, as far as I know, Mrs. Rahab, there is not a light on any of our streets in the town of Belvedere that are going to interact with.
Oh, I know. That's what
They are far from.
I know. My point is when you go look at the pool,
Yeah.
the pool is not really a really good example.
Well, they're pretty separated, but it's going to give you an idea of a bright light, a blue light, a yellow light. It's going to give you somewhat of an idea. So we're going to take a look at that, and you're also going to take a look at the sample lights in the park. That'll give everybody a good idea.
Can the wattage be brought down
No, so the wattages that we offer are the
all the way
wattages.
back?
Yeah, they were approved by the Board of Public Utilities because they have a price to them. So you have a 50, a 90, a 130, and so we can't change that. You can go with a lower wattage versus a higher wattage, but we can't change the wattage. We can't lower the wattage itself within the bulb. Yes, sir.
Speaking of wattage, is it possible to have brighter wattage, like around a park or on a commercial street? And in this package also have softer wattage around residential areas? The reason I ask is the other night, there were kids riding bicycles near the park, and I was coming from the community center, and a kid darted out in front of me, I almost hit him because it was so dark around that park. So there are areas in town, I think, that need to be illuminated, but to be sensitive to people in their homes, can the package come with a range of wattages that could be placed in various parts of town, or do you just buy one wattage and that's it?
No, so what you did here is in Committeeman Joe Rolfe did this. He went out and field checked the poles and the wattages, and these are the wattages he was recommending. So you got a 50, you got a 100, you got a 100, you got a 150, 150, 70, 50.
Mark, I can tell you this, I recall when,
I take that back. This is the existing wattage. Yeah, here's the wattages over here, 50, 90, you know, when I list those numbers down inside.
I don't recall who was involved with the Water Street project from the traffic light going to the bridge. But I recall at one time, those lights were so bright, the globes up at top.
The landing strip.
It looked like a landing strip. They were so bright, I think they were lowered.
They had to have dimmer shields put in at an additional expense just to dim it down so it was acceptable for some residences, and they still were not happy, even with the dimmers. So what I understand, I believe sometimes when you go down there at night, some are actually off. I don't know by whose request that is. They're not all lit all the time.
But they were very bright.
Oh, it was like,
And there was no like beyond daylight. Yeah,
it was
there
like
no,
a runway strip for an airport. So we could see them all the way up here to the municipal building.
Stan, correct me if I'm wrong, I looked at the charts we had before. The lumens given off by the 50-watt sodium vapor was 2,800.
Yes,
Okay.
and I just off the top of my head, that sounds
That's
right.
about
Versus 6,000, I believe. for
Versus
50.
6,000
Yes.
and at a 50-watt for LED.
Yes,
And 50-watt is the smallest LED we can get.
that's right.
And so every 50-watt switch out is going to have almost double the lumens,
Oh, wow.
right?
Yes, that's right.
So,
And, it's funny, Joe, as I said, just to go back to my own house, because I kind of did this with my electrician, it's like I just do it. And it's funny, because when they go up, one thing I did notice, they are definitely brighter, and I don't like when they get real white, as you indicated. But they definitely do project on a much more narrow.
yeah.
So even though it's more light, as Stan said, I've noticed that myself in my own house. They don't scatter shot. So in that way, I think you actually do get less light interference or pollution, if you will, because they will kind of go just where you want them.
Yeah.
So that part is actually good if you could. But I think it would be super important to try to take a look at them, because
Absolutely.
I was pretty surprised when I went on my own house, and it wasn't a great surprise.
I think where we're at here now, so we don't drag it on forever, Stan. Thank you very much. I think,
Well,
go ahead, you will finish up.
yeah, I'm done. I just wanted to make sure that I answered your question, sir, about the different wattages. Did you see that with these different wattages were here?
Right.
Okay, so they're
So
not all.
obviously you can put various different wattages
Yes,
around town.
yes.
But like Joe said, even the lowest wattage is more than double, almost triple. If you look at it, you said it was 6
No, I
versus
said it was 2,800 to 6,000.
to 6.
Almost just a little over double.
Just a little over double, yeah.
Well, LED is bright.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
Without a dimmer adjustment.
Yes, Linda.
Last question, how do they come on and turn off? Or I've noticed some parking lots, they're on during the day,
Dawn to dusk.
so they are during
Yeah, if
the
you see a
dusk.
light on during the day, that the photocell in it is out and it's on, it doesn't have, the timer's off.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah.
Can I ask, I'm sorry, I need to ask a question too. These bracket lights, if 8 is the standard and doesn't cost the town anything extra, what would be the difference if you switched the 6 out for an 8? All I would do is what, push the light fixture out away from the pole and you're still 2 feet?
Yeah, that was the recommendation from the committee involved, so you can, I didn't field check it, but that was the recommendation from the town.
Now, what does it mean if a light that's currently up goes on and off all the time instead of being on and
It's
off?
recycling, it needs to be replaced.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it needs to be replaced. So you can call it in through the 800 number or online.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, just
Well,
give me,
No, I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say-
Police department, and they will
yeah,
fill out the form and
yeah,
send it.
yeah. Teresa has a, they've got a routine here,
They do.
so,
Oh, good,
Yeah.
that's great. Thanks.
Now, just on the poll, on the arm length, and based on what you had given us for those poll numbers, are all 8-foot arms.
right.
All of the ones that we selected were 3.
Okay, so these numbers, you didn't put these in inadvertently, Joe? Okay. When I looked at that, I was like, wow, that must be going across the highway because,
No, they're all 8 feet.
okay, I'm going to change this. Good catch.
Oh, so that's my piece of this, so there we go.
Okay,
All right.
any other questions from council? No? Anybody else? Stan, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Joe Roth will
Stan, thank you.
You're welcome.
communicate with you.
And, yeah, I'll let you know, but I would like to know from you right now. whether we
Yeah,
can
we'll work with
share
that,
it,
yeah.
And if it's a cost aside, maybe a cost that if we go in there, we can wipe out. All right.
I'll look into it, Joe.
Okay, we're gonna move on to public comments while Stan comes up here. Do we have any public comments at this time, agenda items only? If not, Mr. Councilman Tucker, would you please start your committee report?
Sure. Board of Education, they had the graduation on June 14th, Friday, June 14th. Well attended, and we were fortunate to have exceptional weather. The next meeting actually is going to be this Wednesday, 7 o'clock. Pool recreation. They're going to be working with Belleville EMS, joint training with their staff on safety. And let's see here. Okay, I have some stats to compare as far as currently 2019. There's 216 memberships sold compared to 251 last year. Of course, the season's still early, so those numbers should come up. The income for the Snack Shack, they're doing well. Sales of $2,100, approximately $1,500 over last year, 2018. And recreation is setting up, along with the pool recreation, for the, I understand it's
reviewing applications for the filing that they have to make. But that's still on hold at the moment. That's it on the EMT Community Center. We have the minutes, which were published and sent out to everyone, so you see what's been going on at the community center. A great job, in my opinion, we continue to do things. Just a question, Mark, if I may, did the fire extinguishers get hung now? Are you all set with those? Okay, that was an open item, and McAleer went out and met with the folks, told them where the fire extinguishers had to be hung, and then our folks went out from the DPW and did the installation, so that's good, thank you very much. That's it on the community center, so that's it for me.
Councilman Roth, when was the last time you met with the rescue squad?
Yeah.
When was the last time you met them?
I went at their last meeting, the beginning of the month.
Thank you.
And but I did talk to them last week, just as a update, yeah.
Councilman Myers.
We will be getting the May financial report with percentage spent. There's some adjustments we needed to make once we passed the budget as to what was credited against which account, so that should get an email to you and what department head shortly. And I'm assuming everyone got the information on the municipal in terms of using a credit card or credit card-like service for payment of taxes and for sewer, which can go through municipal software. There's no cost to us, it's it's a convenience charge to people who choose to use it. So it's been successful in Phillipsburg. We're looking to start it hopefully before the fourth quarter taxes are due.
Yeah, one question, I don't know if I read it correctly. If we do go on that system, must you only pay online, or can you still come in?
Oh, no,
it's an option. It's still an option.
Right, but
That's
you
fine.
wouldn't use a credit card. You can't come in and pay with a credit card.
That's what I wanted to clarify. Okay, no problem,
Because there won't be any physical desk unit. It's all done online.
but it can be done online, which is a great idea.
Let's take the money anyway, people would like to use it.
Council, have any other questions on that municipal?
It's only 50 cents, too, as a check.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, but,
No, go ahead, I'm done. I do have, I didn't like the fees, I thought they were ridiculously high.
Charlie, you know, I had my township in Franklin, and I think I said at the meeting, and if we put something on the website, if you go this direction to alert residents, that the first option they give you is credit card, because that has a higher convenience. But there's
Yeah,
a
it's
little,
2.65%.
there's a little box right below that, if you click that, you can pay by check, you just put in your checking account and routing number, it's 50 cents.
See, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Because
that's,
when I introduced
Right.
it, so,
but it's hard to see, I will admit, and I was like, wait a minute. So, but we can, yeah, a little announcement on the website, and once you do it once, like me, I'm already in the system,
Yeah.
so I just hit my login and password, and it's super easy.
I
It's
love
50
paying,
cents.
I love doing everything
Yeah,
online.
50
But I
cents.
thought those fees were very, very high,
They
especially
are.
people paying taxes.
So all you need is the routing number and bank account off your check, and
That's
50
So
cents.
if we can have that option, that's
Yeah, that's
awesome.
built into
That's
that.
part of it, yeah, but they try to get you to go with the more expensive.
Oh, absolutely.
We just have to educate our residents to check the other box.
But
Because we don't get those
people
fees.
that go online and pay.
We want our residents to go.
We wanted to go that direction for the longest time.
Absolutely.
Kathy, you got anything else?
It's a great idea.
Councilwoman Napolitano.
I have no report.
I'm sorry, I just want, that this would probably be up and running by September. It won't take long. So
Do you need a motion to?
I think we should.
Would it have Kevin's option into it?
It already is in it.
It is in it.
Yes, it is in it. But I'll be sure that it.
Do we have any control of the webpage and what it looks like? So we can
I'll
get
look
Andrea
into
to
it.
like expand that, like you can click
Make
here
that
or
the first
there.
option?
Yeah,
I'll look into that.
that'd be great. I mean, that'd be great.
Yeah.
A motion is great on this, no question. Did you read the contract and look at it? Are you satisfied with it?
It's.
You have it in the municipality?
Yeah, we have in Franklin.
Okay.
And,
All right, we have a motion and a second to move on this?
I'll make that motion. I'll second it. Municipal. I'll second.
What is it for?
For tax and sewer.
So you pay taxes for it on.
You can add other options, but I think for the first go-around, we should keep it
See
simple.
how it goes.
Got a motion and a second
Councilman Roth?
Yes.
Councilman Tucker?
Yes.
Councilman Zagorowski?
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy?
Yes. Thank you.
I have no report this evening, Mayor, but I will be meeting with Environment on Thursday.
Okay, thank you very much. Councilman McNamara.
Okay, as far as the police, live scan arrived today, the first portion, which was around $12,000. So we have that, we're waiting for the state to come in and finish setting it up for us, but it is here. The other thing is, for the courts, we've accepted George Duckworth's resignation. So we are probably going to be, we're going to have to advertise for a court attendant. I've had conversation with the chief. We may want to modify the qualifications. Aside from being able to carry a weapon, I know the chief is going down to Atlantic City tomorrow. They have their annual police expo down there. We're looking at doing a magnetometer where they walk through, which would really free up the individual that's at the door. I was recently at a municipal court and I had to testify, but I watched how they operated. They had one individual that would not only sign everybody in, but because he was at the magnetometer, he didn't have to wand anybody. He knew everybody was coming through, whatever the case may be. He would take appropriate action. But it limited the amount of personnel that you need. So most of the magnetometers are under $2,000 that we're looking for. So it's something that the chief is going down specifically to look for tomorrow in Atlantic City, so hopefully that, he'll come back with that report. As far as any statistics that we have, the big ones, again, disorderly persons, this is for May, we had 17, alarms, we had 16, I'm just throwing out the high numbers. So, I've had conversations on this. Traffic enforcement, we had 120. Parking enforcement was a little bit low, it was down to 6. Usually we get around 20 or so. Building property checks, 13, medical assist, 14. One of the things that I got to throw out there, and I looked at different municipalities that didn't have police departments, when you say that you have a medical assist of 14, I would guarantee you that all 14 of those calls, they were there within probably 4 to 5 minutes, if not less. So in many, many cases, if not over 50%, they're beating the next personnel there. So that's one of the advantages of having a police department. They carry all the necessary equipment. They have oxygen, they have defibrillators, they have what they need. So put whatever price tag you want on it. I know there's been conversation, we spend a lot of money for our police department. Well, guess what? Unfortunately, in New Jersey, you have a police department, you can't get rid of it right now because the state police are not going to come in and take over your town. You're not going to go part-time, you're here, we have it. But again, for those 14 people that went out to, they went out to those medical assists, I'm sure they're very happy that they were there. Special detail, 19, invest, follow-up, 26, vehicle maintenance. So, I've said it time and time again, I say it every morning. Our law enforcement officers are very, very active. And we are so lucky to have the individuals that we have. I talked to the chief, and he's thrilled to death. There's no disciplinary problems. We're not getting sued. Everybody seems to like them. They're out in the community. They're doing a great job. So, other than that, the numbers, again, we had a total of, for May, 407 calls. That's what came through the 911 center. That doesn't include anybody that came through the door. So kudos to our police department. I think they're doing a great job. I think we're all proud of them, desiring them. And that's all I have to do. Mayor.
Thank you, Coach.
Mayor.
Congratulations to Officer Mariani and their little daughter. Last life just came yesterday. Day before yesterday.
Saturday.
Recently.
Saturday.
Great little girl, everybody's healthy. Thank God for that. Councilman Zagorowski.
DPW, cleaning, trimming, GSA inventory, street sweeping is scheduled, which will be followed by parking spot striping or painting. Oxford Street, the sidewalk going up the hill, I didn't mention at the last meeting, that's complete. Heard a lot of compliments on that new sidewalk. The DOT inspector was just out, and the Oxford Street paving project will be finally closed out. The DPW is preparing for the catch basin work for the upcoming road paving projects. Jason, if you got anything else since you're here?
Just that, we had the inspection for the GSA, everything went well with that, so we're looking to move forward with that, hopefully be able to get some vital equipment that we can use and ultimately save on, for the taxpayers and stuff like that, so we will be going around also, like I said, I was saying trimming trees and stuff like that, so, things are moving forward.
Jason, I gotta say kudos to you and your department for pulling it all together and finding all the materials and everything you needed. The 4 individuals that came out, as I understand, were very, very impressed and very, very satisfied with the way things were taken care of and the way you guys were prepared. So they didn't need to spend nearly as much time as they needed there. And actually, it was very nice to hear that they were asking you guys for input and feedback and assistance. So I think the contacts you guys made there are very, very solid, because I think you guys were very clear in your comments as to some of the stuff that they need to advertise better, rather than people wasting their time and picking up something that's a parts vehicle versus a true vehicle. So I appreciate that and all the effort, so thank you very much for that. A bit of building and grounds work, Adam, for you. You're going to be reached out to shortly from the individual that's going to rebuild and fix the flagpole down in Riverside Park. So I gave you the contact person. You can communicate with Jason, whatever you want to do. And the only thing that I'm asking for, and I know I spoke about this for quite a while, I want to see if we can dig up any of those replacement bricks or bricks to fix the cobblestone walkway there, because there's a little bit of a liability here, issue there now. They've deteriorated pretty bad. So let's do whatever we need to do to get those replaced. I don't even care if the color matches right now. That doesn't bother me. And I'll put you together with Mary Ann Myers Garcia, who has the names of all the bricks, so we can identify a family member that may be missing there. I can't guarantee it, but we'll take a look at it, and maybe in the future we can get that name inscribed again in a replacement brick, if that needs to be done. The other thing that Jason, you and Adam should be aware of, the Eagles, the potential Eagle Scout coming up, and it's terrible. Anyway, an Eagle Scout, guy that's working on an Eagle Scout, lives here in Belvedere, Terry and Lisa's Cundiff, Andy Cundiff.
Oh, for the walking trail.
They're looking at redoing the walking trail as his Eagle Scout project. I walked a little bit with him today. I told him I'd like you to walk with you and Adam to take a look at it, and they'll come up with a plan. That's what he's considering for the Eagle Scout project. That's all I have right now. Teresa, you got
Jason, want to give them an update on the street
street
sweeping?
sweeping?
Oh, and so we're going to be doing the business district Thursday and Friday. We'll be starting at 3 a.m. We're going to try to get in and out and not affect any businesses and stuff like that, so people can still go on their normal routines. It doesn't mess anybody up, and and that's part of that is getting that squared away so we can do the parking spots and everything, and then we'll look forward, moving forward to doing the rest of the town.
And thank you for getting that to everybody's mailbox.
Yes.
That may be effective. So, Teresa, you have anything on correspondence?
Correspondence, we received a letter from Evelyn Zuniga. It was out to Zuniga, is that?
Zinga, 102 Staleman.
Zuniga?
Yeah, she didn't, have no address, actually,
Okay.
as to where she was, but it was thanking, Mr.
Terry?
Rossi.
Would you like to read it? outstanding.
I just wanted to take a moment in these busy days to recognize the construction official. Joe has been very helpful with any and all questions I have had since moving to Belvedere 2 years ago. Most recently, I have been in there to get help 3 times already in the last week, trying to get a permit for some unexpected but necessary work that I had done to my home, done on my home. This issue with my roof and everything below it came up out of the blue unexpectedly since we bought it with a brand new roof. I don't have the money to hire an architect at the moment, but need to do work now. Joe is very understanding and helped me with his expansive knowledge and experience in construction codes to make a drawing that would pass for a permit. We made drawings and then he asked me to add things, which I did. He did all of this without complaining or criticizing me or my husband for our lack of drawing knowledge. If it wasn't for his help, I would be in a bad position right now. I just wanted to bring to your attention the quality human being and knowledgeable public servant that Joe is and shine a light on him for a moment in your busy day. Best regards, Evelyn.
Joe, thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. Pleasure. Very nice.
Any other correspondence?
I gave you the National Night Out flyer, the notice for sleeping, and there's a couple of reports and CCB minutes, so that was it.
I have no previous business, I have no new business. Resolution number R 2019-X27 through R 2019-X31, renewal of liquor licenses for 2019-20. Can I have a motion and a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No, abstain.
Resolution number R 2019-X32, a resolution approving submission to the DOT grant application for Wall Street and Fall Street. I'll take a motion in a second.
Motion.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries full. Resolution number R 2019-X33, a resolution to pay officers and employees of the town of Belvedere for 2019. I'll entertain a motion in a second.
Motion. Second.
Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilman McAtore.
Yes.
Councilwoman Myers.
Yes.
Councilwoman Napolitani.
Yes.
Councilman Roth.
Yes.
Councilman Tucko.
No recuse.
Councilman Zagorowski.
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy.
Yes. Resolution number R 2019-X34, a resolution authorizing the use of Belvedere Municipal Pool for Belvedere Recreation Committee-sponsored motorcycle show and BYO. I'll entertain a motion in a second.
Motion.
Second.
Questions or comments?
Do we have any liability concerns?
No, this was actually, the way it was being done was under the suggestion of Sharon, correct?
Yes.
That was under her advisement.
Yes.
And that is our loss prevention insurance
That's correct.
agent, correct?
Yes.
Any other questions or comments? Same thing as last year.
Yes, one you I did last year.
Yes.
Yeah, we worked this out
Same
last
thing,
year.
It's the same
change the date.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
Ordinance number 0-2019-07, an ordinance to amend chapter 160 of the Code of Town of Belvedere entitled zoning, second reading. Motion to be open to the public.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This is the zoning, we're changing these up 2 areas around town that were industrial to add commercial uses. Paul Sturbridge did a study, went to the land use board, they made these recommendations, the ordinance came up from our land use board. We had first reading, this is second reading. So that's what this is all about for the benefit of the public. Few scattered I zones that we're adding commercial uses to, many of which frankly are already in these areas.
What were some of the addresses? Isn't that was
One I know specifically is like the Red Mill down there.
barn.
That was one.
Anyway, I just want
There
to
were a couple others sprinkled. There was a map actually with all
Right,
stuff.
right. And since you brought that one up, I have a question, because isn't that like commercial now?
No, use-wise it is, but those uses actually don't conform to the zone that's there. And that's why we decided to take a look at it and make these changes.
So how's it
So
going to
you
change?
couldn't, commercial, retail, those types of uses, even though there's some there already, we're not, I think there's a physical therapy thing there, all that's not permitted in the zone as it is. So we're trying to bring the zoning on the books into conformance with really how the properties.
So they're there illegally?
They're probably pre-existing non-conforming, so they're it's not that they're there illegally, but you'd have problems continuing those uses or expanding those types of uses in that building and some of these other areas around town. So, and we haven't abandoned, I believe the way we did, we left the I zone there just in case, but we added all the uses from our commercial zones. So I think it was a best of both worlds thing, and it just gives, gives your town and property owners more flexibility. Otherwise, everything is a use variance there, which could be, it's an expense and a headache.
Yeah, but it has more scrutiny that way, right? I mean,
Yes, theoretically, but that's not good planning. You don't want to create a situation where you have to come in for use variances all the time. The idea is to get rid of the need for use variances and zoning purposes.
thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor? I'm sorry. I'll entertain a motion to close public hearing and a motion to.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No.
I need,
No.
Let's just
I need
close the
roll
hearing.
call. Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah,
now I need a motion to adopt.
motion to adopt. Councilman McAtoor,
Yes.
Councilwoman Myers.
Yes.
Councilman Napolitani?
Yes.
Councilman Roth?
Yes.
Councilman Tucker?
No.
Councilman Scarpati?
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy?
Abstain. I have no appointments at this time. Need a motion and a second to pay the purchase orders, the bill.
Make a motion to pay the bills. I'd like to withhold purchase order 23709 until I have a chance to talk to the CFO tomorrow night.
I don't know the list, Kathy, what is it?
It's for petty cash for DPW.
We have a motion on the floor to pay the bills holding 23,709. Do I have a second?
Second.
Questions or comments?
Do you know if we're paying purchase order 23672?
All right, why
What is it?
What is it?
Tell us
What it is? What is it? I can't find the number.
I can't either.
Be a lot easier to tell.
Interstate fireworks for $3,250.
It was paid.
Who's Pete?
It was paid.
Was paid on the last list?
When was it
No,
paid?
it was paid because it had to be paid in a timely manner.
Right.
When was it paid?
It's not on the current list.
Well, that's why I'm bringing it up.
Yes, it is.
There's two lists here.
There's two lists. It's on the first list.
Right, but none of you have it though, because it was already paid, so when was it
Yes,
paid?
Yes, it
Oh,
was. It's on.
It is?
Yeah.
Where? Show me on mine.
We got two bills lists.
I don't know, too.
I'll have to get back to you
I
on that.
know it's been paid, we paid it.
If you want it, why don't you just approve it separately?
What's that?
Just approve it separately.
We'll vote on this and then I'll
Yeah, vote on this and then I'll
make a motion.
Yeah, that's fine.
We've got a motion on the floor holding 23,709. We have a second by Councilman Napolitani. We have a question on 23,672 by Councilman Tutka. please get back to Councilman Tucker on answer on 23-672. Do we have any other questions on the bill list? Roll call, please.
Councilman McAteer.
Yes.
Councilwoman Myers.
Yes.
Councilwoman Colasanti.
Yes.
Councilman Roth.
Yes.
Councilman Tucker.
No.
Councilman Vigorowski.
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy.
Yes.
And I'll make a motion that we pay voucher number 23672.
We have a motion to pay
Add to the list.
voucher 23-672
To interstate fireworks.
to Interstate Fireworks to add it to the current bill list. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Questions or comments?
Yeah, we approved these fireworks.
We
at the
talked
last-
about
yeah.
fireworks meeting
And-
after
and the fact
meeting.
that the
I
building
understand
is-
Councilman Tucker's concern because he didn't visually see it. I can't
But
disagree with that.
But that voucher was there, was it not, Teresa?
The voucher was there.
I scanned it, you saw the voucher.
Yeah,
I
Listen,
have to look.
I'm not going to waste time on this meeting. I got a motion and I got a second on
We saw it.
23-672. Do we have any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilman McAteer.
Yes.
Councilwoman Myers.
Yes.
Councilwoman Colasanti.
Yes.
Councilman Roth.
Yes.
Councilman Tucker. Councilman Vigorowski.
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy.
Yes. Okay, the last thing I have before we head into executive session, council, pull out your calendars, please. I'd like to schedule the July meeting for the summer on July 22nd, and the preceding meeting for August to be August 19th,
July 26th.
July 22nd, July 22nd, and August 19th, with the understanding if a need for a meeting comes up, we will send out emails and set up a special meeting. I don't expect to have it, but same as last year, summertime, we had one meeting in July. Is that okay with everybody? July 22nd and August 19th?
Yes.
Yes. Look at my calendar, so it's amended, that's it.
If that's your wishes, would you please make a motion for such?
I'll make that motion that we have those meetings.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any noes? 6 yes, 1 no. At this point, resolution number R 2019-X35, I'm sorry, yeah, let's do public comment. I'm sorry. Public comment? Yes.
In
Read it,
regards
please.
to what Charlie said, I don't know how far back he's going, one of those 14 calls might have been in my house. We were down at the ambulance building, there were many people down there. The call came through, it happened to be for tests. 2 police officers beat the ambulance there when they were at the building. Sue Locke was down the street. They all 3 got there at the same time. And I'm not saying the ambulance didn't get there, because believe me, they did. The police, 2 police officers were there first. And thank God they were.
Yeah, thank you very much for that, Rita. Yes, sir, Howard.
Harry Brown, 607 Oxford Street. I happen to have been at the planning board meeting where they discussed that ordinance change for the light industrial zone. And I asked Paul Sturgis a very specific question about what parking requirements would be associated with that. And he told me that if this passed, that the parking requirements for businesses, the retail, commercial entities, would then apply to any of the new uses that were on there. That was a concern of mine. I think the answer was a good answer. The second thing I would point out is there was one stray residential lot across the river that accidentally was placed in the industrial zone that they took out of the zone. It's in a neighborhood of all residential, and it just happened to have been one stray lot, and that was also pulled out as part of that ordinance change.
When you say across the river, can you just clarify? Say across the river?
That's
I think
So,
across the river, Pequest or across the river?
Big West,
Okay.
This,
but Delaware wouldn't be in.
Well, that's why I question, that's why, I mean, be an oddity.
That was my observation of the meeting.
Thank you, Harry.
I
for
thought
that.
it was a reasonable approach.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Resolution number R 2019-X35, a resolution to enter into executive session to discuss personnel. Motion?
Motion.
Action probably will be taken.
Yeah, action will be taken. We got a motion by Charlie McIntyre, Kathy Myers, all in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? It should be short. Folks, it should be very short.
For the benefit of the public, we've been trying to, we approved, back in February, Jason's promotion to deputy director. He's been doing a great job. We gave him a salary increase, we gave him a stipend, and all we've been trying to do is Jason and I both have been trying to get a hold of his union rep to see how they wanted to handle that in terms of the contract. And then we finally came to a push or shove last week when I said, you know what, if you don't want to negotiate this, we're just going to do a separate side agreement with Jason. But that precipitated him actually reaching out. He said, fine, do it. I've done the amendment. We talked about it in the executive. Memorializes the terms that we all agreed to months ago at this point. So what I'd like is a motion to approve the amendment to the DPW contract to incorporate Jason's salary increase for the deputy director position.
Motion.
Second.
Questions or comments?
Just as an aside, again, I did put a burger in because he has joined the union, but we have yet to negotiate what we're putting him in.
For the public's knowledge, this amendment on the contract is good through December 31st of 2019. 2020 will be decided later on if it's going to continue. Jason, all I can say is I apologize you had to wait 4 or 5 months for your earned money.
That's
I think
not
we
on
have-
you guys, so.
I think we have it solved now. Roll call, please.
Councilman McAvoy.
Yes.
Councilwoman Myers. Yes. Councilwoman Napolitano.
Yes.
Councilman Roth.
Yes.
Councilman Tucko. Councilman Zmigrodsky.
yes.
Mayor Kennedy.
Yes.
Just want to mention that one, that's how it's guys.
Yeah.
I just want to let you guys know that I'm sorry I didn't get it here earlier so we could get on the agenda tonight. But I have circulated through Teresa and I think to most of you, a revised mobile home travel trailer ordinance. The one we got from the land use board was not adequate. In fact, it completely prohibited mobile homes. It just was not drafted with the intent that I think we talked about. I don't think the land use board understood exactly what they were doing there. So for next meeting, you guys should have it all, or if you don't, Teresa's going to be certain.
I'm going to send it out ahead of time, so.
So I didn't want to
you
go on
should have
tonight, because
this
it's,
week.
but look at it, I did specifically address, visitors, because I think the consensus seemed to be here, hey,